What's up, everyone? This is Kronos, aka Adam, back with another WWE Week In review. I've got a new chair, and as you can tell by the opening graphic, I suffered a loss this week. I spoke a little bit about it on my AEW review as well. I lost Adriana, who's obviously, if you've watched any of my videos, you might have seen her in them, some of my post-credit things. It was very sudden, but she was 14 years old, and, I miss her, but... unfortunately, it's just something that happened. 2020 has been very rough on all of us. Continues to be. So just figured I'd keep it going, though. Rocking my crypto dog in honor of her. And yeah, so as always, what I do here is I recap and review everything that happened in WWE this week from Raw, NXT, and SmackDown. Some of my reviews are a little bit lax just because of everything that was going on, but I figured I wanted to stay consistent and just keep busy. So here I am. As always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment. Social media is down there. So we'll just get right into it. Start off with Raw. So we get the opening graphic of the Here Now Forever kind of messed up. Retribution arrives. This is there's a lot to unpack about a lot of this from Raw. So Retribution arrives in the ring. They have contracts now, apparently. Dijak looks like Bane. Yim speaks, but her mask barely even covers her face. Mercedes Martinez doesn't barely cover his. Dio Maddin looks pretty good, and then another guy is wearing Shane Thorne is wearing basically like an old school like Casey Jones hockey mask. So the Hurt Business music hits. They go out. Hurt Business calls them out. More of their like kind of goons show up. Becomes a big fight. Retribution takes advantage. It goes to commercial. We get King on commentary tonight for Joe. Backstage with the Mysterios, Ray is happy to watch Dom possibly go for the tag team title, which we'll talk about. So we get the triple threat contender for the tag team titles on Raw. We have Andrade and Garza, who apparently broke up last week, but they're fine now. Umberto and Dominic, who weren't even a team until yesterday. And Seth and Buddy, who apparently broke up last week. So this is just showing how lacking the tag team division really is. Street Profits come out on commentary. No Zelina with Andrade and Garza. Seth saying tonight is a big opportunity for them, as if last week didn't happen. They go with the triple threat rules, where it's one member of each team in. Andrade with the Tranquilo in the ropes, almost missed it though. Maybe it's because he doesn't have Zelina with him. Stereo high flying dive from Umberto and Dom. Dom with the code red on Andrade for the 2 count. Buddy V trigger on Andrade. As Buddy goes to the corner, Seth says he has more important things to do and leaves, just showing how little people care about the Raw Tag Team titles, because he doesn't care. We get the back elbow by Andrade on Buddy, and then the wing clipper on Buddy for the win. I don't even know where Umberto and Dom were. Apparently they got taken out, but I didn't even see that happen, so okay. So now we get, once again, Andrade and Garza versus Street Profits again, so... this is probably like their 10th match or some combination thereof in the last few months. So obviously I'll go through my Clash of Champions preview and predictions video also today. We get a recap of Braun going to Raw Underground, even though he is a SmackDown competitor. Shane says he's going to the KO show to promote the Braun Dabba-Kato match. The bouncer says to watch out and asks if he wants to come along. Shane says he's got a few tricks up his sleeve. Don't worry about it. Just watch the door. Backstage with Retribution, they call out the Hurt Business. You asked for this out of greed. Payment will be in the match. They're beating up a couple of people. The KO show. So we get they joke about their history when Shane comes out there. Water under the bridge. Shane's promoting it. Brings Dabba-Kato out. Recap of Dabba-Kato destroying everyone. This is why KO wanted him here. KO remembers what happened. Says, we're going to do this at some point. KO slaps him. And then he goes, Braun's my other guest. So Braun comes out. Shane trying to get them to calm down, saying that this is going to only happen at Underground. Then a Black attacks KO while this is going on. So, pulls him into the ring post, crotches him like 3 times. Okay. I guess, how does this count toward the brand-to-brand invitational, since Braun came out on actual Raw and not just Raw Underground? How does that work? So then we get a recap of Drew and Keith from last week. Backstage interview with Drew. Says draw is okay. Friendship with Keith should be fine. Drinks on him because he's going to win tonight. So apparently they have another match. Retribution beating down Humberto and Cedric. And I don't know who else. Match made official for tonight versus the Hurt Business. It was going to be a 3-on-3. And then once again we get Drew versus Keith Lee, which is, I don't know, the fourth maybe time in a row now. Drew misses a Drew misses a Claymore right away. Fun splash by Lee sends Drew over the top. Grizzly Magnum double chop. Drew dropped Lee on the desk. It doesn't break again. Drew selling the jaw. Lee looked hesitant for a second because he didn't want to continue hurting him while his jaw was all messed up. Goes for the spirit bomb, countered into a Rana, and then a spine buster for a 2 count. Lee saying this is his chance. Drew with the Claymore, Randy with the chair shot, another non-finish. I don't even know if... I think Keith Lee has had 2 finishes of all the matches he's had, which was the Randy match and I think the Ziggler match, and I think that's it. Everything else has been a non-finish. Randy driving the chair into Drew's face. Randy punts Lee, so obviously this is, I'm assuming, to get Lee out of the triple threat. Back from commercial, Randy is still in the ring. Shame on everyone for doubting him being able to make Clash of Champions. Randy out to the ambulance. Now he knows what his victims feel like when he was in the ambulance from Drew. Backstage interview with Asuka. I feel like they've really kind of just almost forgotten about Asuka. Billy shows up, says that Zelina was right, that anyone could just challenge her. Then Peyton shows up, and Asuka asks, are you still friends? And they say, of course. She's ready for Peyton tonight, so Billy just got skipped. Apparently, Billy was about to call out and challenge Asuka. Peyton shows up. Peyton gets the chance, though. They really just, break them up, separate them. Just stop. It makes no sense what they're doing, because then they were, not friends, kind of, then they are friends. I don't get it what they're doing, though. I have no problem with them sticking together in certain spots, but, you just broke them up, so break them up then. If this is the case, then you shouldn't have broke them up and just have Peyton have a singles match. You could have done that. So, number 1 contender for Raw Women's title, Zelina versus Mickie James. I like Zelina's music. I think I've heard it a couple times. Recap of the botch finish from last week with Mickie and Asuka. Mickie in a promo says she didn't give up. Zelina hits the octopus to start. Powerbomb countered into a roll, but it just looks sloppy. They just didn't look on the same page this whole match. Zelina with the submission through the ropes. Flapjack, seated senton by Mickie for a 2 count. Zelina then hits this really great backstabber for the win. Hurt Business are attacking Retribution jobbers backstage. MVP asks if Lashley and Shelton have this so that he can go out to the ring with Cedric, because Cedric has a match. We get a vignette of Bianca at the PC train just abusing some guy, whatever this guy tries, she does it better. We get Cedric versus Apollo. MVP says Retribution is the judge, jury, but not the executioner. Cedric says this is for him to get back at Apollo for him being used for his title shots that he didn't deserve. He doesn't care about your kids. Apollo comes out with Ricochet. They don't care why Cedric turned. They just want to punch him in the face and haven't forgotten about Lashley. It's pretty even through the commercial break. Basement dropkick by Cedric to Apollo's neck for a 2 count. Michinoku driver for a 2 count. Frog crossbody from the middle rope by Apollo looked pretty cool. Cedric tossed into Samoan drop for a 2 count. Cedric back into the ring and Apollo hits him with the roll up. He was distracted by Ricochet. Lashley and Shelton give Cedric and MVP a chance for a sneak attack. So Lashley with the full Nelson on Apollo. So then we go to Raw Underground. We get Dolph versus Arturo Ruas. Dolph fights out of an armbar, gets a shot to the throat, then a choke out win. Shane tries to interview Braun, yells at Braun, who hands the mic to this woman, Brianna Brandy, who finishes the interview. We then back to the Thunderdome. Seth out to the ring with a manila envelope. Already I knew where this was going. It's no secret he's had the Mysterio's number, thought he was free of them. Photos on WWE.com led him to dig deeper. Asked Mysterios to come out before he reveals what he found. Has DNA test results. And I know this has been done before. And he says, you are not the father. Maybe my people looked into the wrong child. They show the clip of Aaliyah consoling Buddy. She's 19 and naive, Ray says, which obviously upsets Aaliyah. She walks off. Seth is sorry that she didn't mean to put a wedge. He didn't mean to put a wedge in between everyone. Says, it's probably happened to some of your families, talking to the crowd. And then he cracks a smile while he's on the ramp. Obviously, they weren't having it, the Mysterios. They were laughing about it until he started doing the Aaliyah stuff. Nia and Shayna versus Lana and Natalya again. Riot Squad out on commentary. Liz, it sounded really awful on commentary. Like, she just didn't know what to say. Nia dominates both of them, then reluctantly takes to Shayna. Gut wrench, step up knee, clutch on Lana for the win. This was academic, very quick. Shayna clears off commentary, but they fight off Nia. Lana gets another Samoan drop through the table. We get Drew back in the trainer's room, icing his face. He'll beat the piss out of Randy on Sunday, but he's going to go pick a fight with somebody. Backstage with the Mysterios, Ray and Aaliyah argue. I believe in Spanish, part of it, but yeah, you could tell. This is obviously going to... Aaliyah's not a wrestler as far as I know, so this is going to be all basically on her ability to act in these scenes. Unless she is a wrestler, I haven't seen anything, I haven't heard anything. I heard Dominic was the only one. So if it is just going to be based on her ability to carry through these promos and cutscenes and whatnot, I think that's a lot asking of her. She's 19. I don't know what kind of acting experience or any kind of experience she really has in all this. We'll see. Back to Raw Underground. We get Eric versus Riddick Moss. They decide to just slug it out in the middle of the ring. Eric with a German, Riddick with the knockout punch, which makes Eric look pretty bad. Brianna to interview Dabba-Kato. Shane takes it back because Dabba doesn't want to be interviewed. Braun will feel what he's all about. That's what Dabba says. Asuka versus Peyton Royce. Billy in Peyton's corner. Gory special driver by Peyton for a 2 count. Zelina then attacks Asuka for a DQ because they want to protect Peyton, obviously, from this big singles push that they want to give her. Aaliyah alone, upset, and then Buddy approaches her. Buddy came to apologize and says this thing has gotten out of hand and he's sorry for anything he did. I don't know if this is going to be genuine or some kind of romance angle or like a Romeo Juliet type thing, or if this is just Buddy is manipulating her to get back in Seth's good graces. I would see that. I would like that more than anything. We then get then we get Raw Underground, Braun versus Dabo. Braun gets a choke. Dabo fights out to the outside of the ring. Braun with the knockout punch, and the ref calls it. Steps over Dabo. So Braun wins this. Retribution versus the Hurt Biz. And we now find out the dumbest thing of all time. Their names, Mace, T-Bar, and Slapjack. Mace is Dio Madden. Not too bad. T-Bar for Dominic Dijakovic. And Slapjack for Shane Thorne. So obviously we officially are going with that. We don't know who they are. They're not who who we thought they were, because we're going to pretend like we just don't know who they are. Even though Mia Yim and Mercedes Martinez basically had like this covering their mouth. And it was like open too. So it's like you saw who they are. So we're just going to pretend like we don't know them. So stupid. So stupid. I mean, they're getting just absolutely abused everywhere, both on social media, both just in everywhere. People do not like this. But of course, T-Bar, Dominic Dijakovic, is on Twitter, tweeting up a storm, trying to push it and say, I mean, he's doing the best he can with it, obviously, but it's just terrible. Retribution versus the Hurt Biz. Cedric is now fighting twice tonight. I thought MVP was going to be in the match, but apparently not. So we get Retribution isolates everyone at some point, Slapjack and Full Nelson, and then what is crazy is that Dijak then hits Bobby Lashley to break him out of it, and the ref calls for the bell. What? Like, how many times have we seen people break up pins, break up submissions, throw their knee out, kick the guy in the back when he's trying to run the ropes from the opposite team? The ref doesn't call for the bell. So why would the ref call for the bell now? We saw that a few weeks ago with Asuka and when Asuka and I believe Bayley were fighting on the outside, and the ref called for the bell, neither of which were even in the match. It's like, what the fuck? Like, WWE, get your shit together. Just have some consistency. Make sense of this, because this is just terrible. And this is your go-home show for Clash of Champions, too. So it's like... So anyway, they call for the bell. Retribution hits, the full group and their minions or whatever, and then Drew leads the troops out. They clear everybody out, and then all of a sudden, Drew gets a RKO out of nowhere for Raw to go off the air. I don't even know anymore. Raw was just terrible, in my opinion. I mean, there were some good spots overall, but like, no, it was just a bad show. And the stuff with Retribution makes it even worse. So, anyway, so now we go to NXT. Trying to even think if there was a much of the week here. Okay, so now, so on Wednesday was also we lost Road Warrior Animal. Kind of fitting. I lost my animal, my pet, my best friend, and Road Warrior Animal up there together. So we get our number one women's contender battle royal. So there's pretty much everyone's in the ring. Candice makes an entrance. We get a recap of backstage of Candice destroying Tegan's knee backstage, so she's not able to be a part of the match. There's a lot more competitors than were advertised. Apparently this was an effort by Regal. So I'm just going to go through my notes here pretty quick. So we get Rhea eliminates Gia, who looks like an NWO Carmella. Raquel eliminates Raven. Pretty much everyone that was kind of unknown was eliminated first by either Rhea or Raquel. So Raquel eliminates Raven. Rhea eliminates Ellie into the barricade. Shafir is there, but no Jessamine Duke. She's eliminated by Rhea. Avery is eliminated by Raquel. Raquel eliminates two more. I didn't even get their names. Then Rhea eliminates Emily. Raquel boots out Catalina. So I knew who Catalina was, obviously. Aaliyah thinks she eliminated Casey, but she puts on some Matrix stuff to get back into the ring. She only landed on her butt. She then kind of does a handstand, then gets her feet underneath the bottom rope, and then kind of does a sit-up to pull herself up, and then gets back in the ring. It was really cool. Indy saves Candice at one point. I don't know if that was on purpose or what. Rhea pulls off an Aaliyah eyelash while she's on the outside, then eliminates her onto Stone. Robert Stone brand now basically done now that Mercedes Martinez is gone. Kaden eliminates Xia Li. Casey landed onto the barricade. She's scaling the plexiglass. Indy keeps shoving her off because she jumps on the stairs and then keeps getting pushed off and then back onto the barricade. Kaden is eliminated by Raquel but helps Casey get back into the ring by standing on her shoulders. Raquel and Rhea eliminate each other, so obviously they're going to have that kind of feud going. We get Indy and Casey, a great showing so far. Shotzi, Candice, and Kai are also left. Casey eliminates Indy Hartwell. Kai eliminates Casey. Shotzi dumps Kai out. There's a reverse sling blade by Shotzi. Both fight on the corner. Candice falls on the stairs but stays in. Candice then monkey flips Shotzi off the stairs onto the ground for the win. Johnny comes out to celebrate. Johnny announced for a match with Priest for the North American title as well for TakeOver. So we get a backstage interview with Priest. His reign of infamy isn't coming to an end anytime soon. Austin Theory, his record doesn't reflect his skill, but tells Sarah that he'll see her at the after party. So Damian Priest, I'll see you at the after party. So we get this I thought was one of my favorite things. This was funny. So Fandango is dressed up like Sherlock and he's arguing with Birch, Strong, Bartel, and Mendoza. He has a whiteboard saying Fandango's number one contender algorithm. I wish they went back to the phenomenal something whatever, the PISS acronym, which they haven't gone to since. Regal shows up and he's basically, don't you dare do a fake British accent. So he's like, okay. So then Fandango says that in order to find out who's going to be the number one contender for the tag team titles, we're going to have one member from each team represented. There'll be two on one team, two on the other. Whichever team wins, those two teams will face each other, and then that will be the number one contender. And the way he explains it, it's a little jumbled. So Regal goes to Birch. What does he mean? He goes, oh, the Yankee, this, that, the other thing. And he goes, oh, okay. I like it. So he lets it go. We get Ciampa versus Atlas. Obviously, Atlas is trying to avenge what Ciampa did to him a couple weeks ago. Atlas is coming out super aggressive. Tries to set up Ciampa for a slingshot into the apron like Ciampa did to him. Atlas pump kicks in the corner. We get Atlas hits a moonsault on the outside. Botched blockbuster from the top by Atlas, but still gets enough of it for a 2 count. Goes for the cartwheel DDT, but then Ciampa just kicks him off the ropes, which is obviously what everyone thought. When he does this move, it's like, why not just kick his arm out? Goes for a Willow's Bell. Ciampa gets up from the pin though. He does the fairy tale ending with kind of like a twist for the win. We get a Ridge Holland vignette, recap of the Gauntlet Eliminator match, of the setup. for it. So we get Grimes, Thatcher, Reed, Kushida, and Kyle O'Reilly. So then we get our number one, like the first half of the number one contenders for the tag team title: Strong and Birch versus Mendoza and Bartel. Mendoza and Bartel jobbers entrance. I love that Birch did the two fingers at the boom when as if they were like kind of coordinated in their entrance, which I thought was pretty cool. Hard tag to Mendoza, knee and a lion salt for a 2 count. Birch taking the heat. We get a hot blind tag to Strong, cleaning house, an Olympic slam on Bartel. Mendoza breaks up the pin. Hangman cutter by Birch on Mendoza for the win. Strong won't shake his hand though. Birch smiles because he likes the competition. Backstage interview with Theory. Johnny says, why are you bothering him? He's got all the talent like him. And if you soften him up before TakeOver, Johnny won't forget it. So we get Austin Theory versus Damian Priest. Theory taking Johnny's advice, bringing Priest down to his size. Standing moonsault by Theory for a 2 count. Ripcord, sit out flatliner by Priest. Tossed Falcon Arrow for a 2 count. We get a Fireman Blue Thunder Bomb by Theory for a 2 count. We get a Razor's Edge on the apron on the outside by Priest. Then he comes in, fires himself up, does the reckoning for the win. Johnny does a super kick though while Priest is celebrating out of nowhere. We get some kind of swerve vignette. So 2 pinfall victories over Escobar, challenges Escobar with no shenanigans. Also, I forgot at what point this happened. I forgot to put it in my notes, but I was reminded that there was some kind of vignette for a return on the 4th, I believe it is. I believe that's TakeOver of a former champion. There was some kind of like drone type things. There was like, it almost looked video game-ish. There was some green tints to it. Rumor has it could be like someone, Ember Moon coming back. Not sure what other former champions they could bring. Bo Dallas maybe, Bobby Roode. I don't see any of them as kind of being representative of that type of stuff. So Rich Holland versus Antonio DeLuca basically just beats the shit out of him for the win. I don't even need to go into it more. This guy was just toast from the minute you saw him. Backstage interview with Io Shirai. She doesn't like Candice. Candice and Johnny crash the interview. Johnny says, I don't know what you're saying, but I don't like the way it sounds. And then Priest, the door opens and it's like, here's Johnny. And they just start to fight. Candice and Io need to be separated. So we find out next week we're going to get a Shotzi versus Kai match. And then we get our Gauntlet Eliminator. Kushida versus Kyle O'Reilly versus Grimes versus Thatcher versus Reed. So Kushida and Kyle O'Reilly are out to start. Great submission style chain to start between them. Slugfest as time runs out. Reed is next. Kushida press slammed onto Kyle O'Reilly. Handspring double back elbow by Kushida. Reed does a senton on Kyle. Dream comes in for a Death Valley driver, or Dream Valley driver, whatever you want to call it, on Kushida when Kyle gets sent into the outside, so the ref wasn't looking. Reed with the splash to eliminate Kushida. Thatcher's in next. Germans to Kyle O'Reilly and Thatch by Reed. Grimes now in. Moonsault by Grimes on Thatcher. Reed tosses Grimes onto Thatch and Kyle O'Reilly on the outside. Reed with a Death Valley driver on Thatcher for a 2 count. Reed powerbombs on Kyle O'Reilly for a 2 count. Suicide dive by Reed onto everyone on the outside. Reed does a Uranagi on Thatcher onto Grimes for a 2 count. Reed misses a splash. Kyle O'Reilly with the diving knee to the back to eliminate Bronson Reed. We get a stalling German by Grimes on Kyle O'Reilly. Thatch has Kyle O'Reilly in a sleeper. Kyle O'Reilly has Grimes in the ankle lock. This was a really cool sequence. And then Kyle O'Reilly rolls up Thatcher for an elimination. So Grimes hit with the cave-in on Kyle O'Reilly, but he gets his foot on the ropes. Grimes saying he's nothing like Adam Cole. Cole is better than you. Hits the collision course for a 2 count. Kyle O'Reilly then, but while this is going on, Grimes had injured his knee. He's selling that for the last few minutes. Kyle O'Reilly then rolls him into a heel hook for the win. Grimes taps out right away. This was awesome. I was so happy for Kyle O'Reilly. I'm a huge Kyle O'Reilly fan. I think he has the potential to be really, really great as a singles champion, not just a tag team champion. The Undisputed Era comes out because I was hoping. I was like, I don't want them to leave him by himself. They came out there. They were celebrating Strong and Cole. And then Finn comes out for a nice little stare down on the ramp, so that was pretty cool. And then we get to Smackdown. Let me see how we're doing here time-wise. Not bad. So the ladders are all set out for a Intercontinental Ascension ceremony. just an excuse to bring them all out. AJ's out first, Sammy, then Hardy. AJ abuses Jeff and Sammy, saying you spent the summer growing, to Sammy, you spent the summer growing out your neck beard. Sammy calls it a championship. Jeff said he agrees with AJ for once. They actually defended the IC belt. Sammy drops a ladder on both of them, attacks Jeff. Then Pierce comes out and says this is a triple threat. So now we're getting a triple threat just days before a triple threat. It's like, come on, man. Like, why are you giving us the match? I mean, yes, obviously there's a difference between a ladder match and a regular triple threat. We get that, but it's a triple threat ladder match. Like, we're getting a triple threat. Like, why are you doing that? Why are you giving us what we're already about to see? Don't spoil it for us. So Hardy hits a twist of fate on AJ in the ring. We then get this triple threat match. Jeff uses Sammy for poetry in motion. This is the best whisper in the wind I've ever seen by Hardy. Hits both of them. We get a Helluva kick on both. AJ with the Desperation Pele kick on Sammy. Phenomenal forearm. Misses Sammy. Hits Hardy. Sammy tosses AJ out so that he can cover Hardy for the win. AJ hits both with the ladder. And then AJ climbs to the top, grabs both of the belts. So obviously he's not going to win. We get Heavy Machinery talking about the lawsuit. We get a recap of last week. Backstage interview with Heavy Machinery. No one is taking anything from him. Miz and Morrison crash. Will give the fans the Money in the Bank holder they deserve. Miz and his lawyers will drain him if he tries to fight this. He's trying to rile Otis up, and Morrison is filming, I guess, trying to get him on camera doing something crazy. Then Tucker looks at the lawsuit and says, why is only Miz named on it? And before Morrison can even think about what that means, Otis attacks him. We get a recap of Sasha and Bayley. Bayley's out sitting on a chair on the top of the ramp, talks shit to Sasha, to ask Nikki that what will be different this time than the last time. I think there was more to it. I was just kind of in and out at that point. So we get Grand Metalik versus Shinsuke. It was a pretty decent match. I just wasn't really into it. I was kind of tired. Eventually Shinsuke hits the Kinshasa for the win. Cesaro attacks Lindsay. Kalisto is kind of just waiting on the outside. He's not really going in. Eventually he does go in after they leave. Lindsay shoves him to the ground. So obviously this team is breaking up. We'll just figure it out. Unless they're pulling the swerve, they're faking this whole thing just to get the tag team titles, which would be crazy. Backstage, Jay's looking for Roman, knocking on his door, kind of singing a little bit. We had a recap of last week's match. We get words from Rikishi, Sika, and Jimmy. Jay comes out to the ring. Roman and Paul are watching from the dressing room. Corey gives him the night off, says, throws to a recap of last week. He asks about the look. Roman isn't coming out, it seems. Then Heyman comes out of the dressing room to a camera that's waiting for him. He says that the world deserves to hear from Roman, but it won't happen on Jay's time. It'll happen on Roman's time. Roman changed his cell number, according to Jay, and Paul screens his mail. So he's not surprised. We get a recap of Corbin and Riddle. We're going back to this. Corbin video package mocks the bro. I want you to say bro as if you're in pain. It was terrible. So then we get Corbin versus Riddle. Riddle with a video response. He'll show the difference between a stallion and a jackass. He attacks before the bell. Riddle's fired up standing on commentary table. We got a floating bro with the knees up by Corbin. Eventually hits the end of days for the win. I'm kind of shortchanging it, but this was a pretty decent match, even though why are we having it again? Why is Riddle losing? They basically have just decided, you know what? We don't care about Matt Riddle. We're not going to push him anymore. Post-match interview with Corbin. No, it's a post-match interview with Riddle, which was slightly cringe. I don't even remember what it said. Losing sucks or something like that. Another vignette with Carmella. We know it's Carmella. She writes untouchable on the mirror. It's got to be Carmella. Alexa versus Lacey. Earlier today, Alexa makes fun of Lacey for being a lady. Alexa takes advantage. We hear the Fiend laugh at some point. Then we go to commercial. We come back. Alexa starts to take control. Then starts to lose focus a little bit. Lacey misses a moonsault. The Fiend music with the that part. And then the red light hits. Alexa then all of a sudden changes her attitude and goes on the attack. We get the ref calls for the DQ because she just is attacking nonstop. hits the sister Abigail on the outside. Alexa's in the ring. We hear the "Let Me In." The red light comes on. Alexa smiles and leaves. And as she's coming up the ramp, Roman's music hits. And they barely even pay attention. Both Roman and Paul barely pay attention to her. But she, stops and is staring back at them. Obviously, she knows that Roman took the title off her man. So we get Roman out to the ring. Before Paul can get our sentence out, Jay's music hits. Roman says Jay wouldn't even know what to do with the belt. With being on top, the pressures the pressures that come with it. The family depends on him for being the tribal chief. You wouldn't understand because you're a twin. And Jay said, and then he leaves. And then Jay says, what if you're wrong? What if he's the one to win? What if you can do it? Because he's always been known as, when they see a Roman, they think, the tribal chief, all this stuff. When they see Jay, they say which one, which I thought was really good. He'll be the one to win this weekend. Gets really fired up, and then he comes up the ramp, and then all of a sudden Roman hits him with a Superman punch at the top of the ramp. He says, he doesn't just feed his kids, he feeds the whole family, for this title, and that's how it goes off the air. And that's WWE for this week. As always, I give my match of the week. Definitely, it's the number one contender Gauntlet Eliminator match. Kushida, Kyle O'Reilly, Grimes, Thatcher, and Reed. I think this looked great on everybody. I don't think anyone really looked bad in this. Kyle O'Reilly, the right person to win. I know he's not going to beat Finn, but I think this is huge to really launch him into superstar status and show that he's more than just a tag team wrestler and how good he can be. I wonder what the dynamics of the Undisputed Era will be. That's going to be interesting to see how they all work on it. And so as always, obviously, just a little public service announcement. If you're thinking about getting a pet, adopt. There are so many animals out there that could use a good home. Don't buy. Don't support the puppy mills. Adopt, because these dogs, cats, other animals, they're living in cages. They're not some of these places are very good, but at the same time, it's just not the same as having a home. So definitely adopt if you can. That's what I did with Adriana. I adopted her when she was 2 years old. We spent 12 great years together. I miss her, but she'll always be with me. And so public service announcement there. So as always, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, comment, and all that other stuff. Social media is down there. Hit me up there. So as always, be safe, love each other, and bye now.